My name is Dina Emser. I'm a leadership coach, and I'm also a lead trainer with the Positive Discipline program. And I'm here today to just answer a couple of questions that often get asked me about leadership. One thing I get asked a lot is what's the importance of leading with purpose? Why is that important? And to me, leading with purpose is always important, but especially in times of big change, lots of turmoil and uncertainty, it really comes to the forefront. When I hear the term lead with purpose, to me, it means a leader being intentional about what he or she wants to create. It says that this leader is choosing to lead in a particular way with the result of a particular outcome. If a person wants to lead with purpose, I will always assume that the purpose is to serve in a more impactful way, to understand human motivation and work within the parameters of what is considered best practice. Because the truth is, anyone can lead. And it's also true that not everybody wants to. So people who want to exercise and grow their potential in their leadership will be really well served by exploring first why. Why do you want to lead? And the second, who do you want to lead? And the third, how do you want to lead? What is the outcome or the result that you wish to create? And while it's really important to examine the service you want to provide for others, I think it's really important too to consider what's the benefit to me by leading with purpose. I'm also part of a team. I'm part of the circle, part of the organization. So it's true that whatever I do to lead others is also going to benefit my own experience. I believe that part of leading with purpose is to understand yourself, to understand your strengths and what you value. What is it that lights you up, that gives you good energy to move forward in a positive way? What is the accomplishment and value that you were put on the planet to do? So people on your team need information from you, certainly. And the truth is they also want to be inspired. So when you know your purpose and you can share it with your team in words and especially in actions, you're just going to notice that people feel better. They feel safer and maybe even a little bit more courageous and engaged to bring their best self. One way I've heard it described is that your purpose is the crossroads between your greatest strength and the world's, or maybe your team or your organization's greatest need. So another question that people are really interested in right now is, how does an employee's well-being affect their productivity? Is there a connection? There is absolutely a direct link between the well-being of an individual and their performance. Now, let's be clear. It's possible for people to be extremely productive under extreme pressure. Our medical workers on the front line are certainly great examples of what can happen during a pandemic. The problem is this type of time and crisis-driven productivity is not sustainable, and it has a huge effect on the well-being of our frontline workers. We know that when people feel better, they do better. And we know that when people feel a sense of belonging in the workplace and they know that their unique contribution is absolutely valued, that people are going to rise to any challenge with a lot more creativity, a lot more engagement, and a lot more positive energy. Our joint productivity just rises when we feel this way. And this is basic human nature, to contribute something and produce more generously when we feel safe, when we know what to expect from our team members and our leaders, when our roles are clearly defined, and we have guidelines that we created together for our work. I call this a social contract. And when we agree that we're going to treat one another with respect. Statistics are available in many different places that support this. One of my favorites is a book called Strength-Based Leadership by Roth and Conchi. Employees in an organization in which the leadership does not focus on strengths have a 9% chance of being engaged at work, whereas employees whose leadership does focus on strengths has a 73% chance of being engaged. So again, we don't focus on people's strengths at work so that they'll feel good, although this is certainly a great outcome. We focus on the strengths of our people so that they will feel more engaged and productive. Feeling as though you're accomplishing things, something that matters, moving something forward towards a common goal, being part of something larger than yourself. This all promotes a feeling of well-being, a positive mental attitude. Organizations have spent millions of dollars in 2020 to address the mental health needs, the wellness needs of their people. Of course, they want their employees to feel well because it's the right thing to do. But they also realize that people are suffering, and if they're not feeling well, it's really going to be difficult for them to attend to the needs of the business goals and tasks. So innately, all of us understand that when we feel better, we do better. Is it possible to address problems without creating conflict? Of course. Conflict often arises from a disagreement or a difference of opinion at work. And when the disagreement escalates, that's when conflict behaviors can come forward in which people are actively trying to hurt one another. Again, we know this from our own experience of being in families, being a kid at school or on the playground. Problems arise when people get together, and that's because we're human. We may strive in our lives for perfection, and we're always going to make mistakes and react from our emotions rather than from our rational brains. But what if we had a structure in place so that we felt prepared for these moments when they happened? We now have more information about our neurology, and we can understand how the brain works in moments when we perceive stress or danger. And since we have this knowledge, we can make a plan for what to do when this happens at work. The plan doesn't keep us from feeling challenged. It doesn't keep us from feeling our emotions. It simply gives us an avenue or a way to explore what we can do when we feel that way. So, as with many changes that we make, our first step is to be aware. And once we've acknowledged that problems are inevitable, we can decide as a team what we want to do to behave, what words we will say in those moments when things get uncomfortable, and what we're going to do about it. Again, a social contract can be put in place to discuss this in advance. And the most important part is that when we feel like the agreement or the contract is imposed upon us, it might just give us one more place to resist. But if everyone has a say about how to handle problems together, and then we have the buy-in from the group and options for people to exercise, the next step is just to hold one another accountable to the agreement that we've made. Feeling accepted and safe with our colleagues, with our team, trusting one another that we're going to deal with one another respectfully, and allowing for people to feel the way they feel, as well as to offer alternate ideas, to give creative input, potential perspectives freely without worrying about being safe or being judged. Yes, it is possible to have problems at work, disagreements without conflict. And maybe a little conflict is okay, as long as the behaviors that stem from it are not hurtful.